Picture this. It's 5:15. You've just clocked out of work. You're sitting in your car and you're ready to drive home. Turned on your latest upbeat playlist, but you aren't actually listening to the music. Instead, you're replaying your 2 o'clock session with Mr. Smith. You're thinking, he really looked a little bit more steady today. Did I miss something? Did I give him the right cues during gait, or should I have tried more tactile cues? Did I educate his wife on the best way, or could I have simplified it more? Should I consider a different discharge plan? Is he even safe to go home in 3 days? This is known as the take home emotional load. It's when you cannot leave work at work. Hello and welcome. If you are a newer PT or OT, nobody really warned you about this in school. You learned anatomy, you learned goniometry, neuroplasticity, you learned special tests, and you learned documentation, but they did not teach you how to shut off your brain when the clock strikes 5 o'clock. So today I'll be talking about why you're carrying your patients home in your head and a couple of immediate things you can do to start leaving work at work. I am Dr. Jody Miller. I'm a physical therapist and a mentor to PT students and new grads. I've worked in just about every setting that there is for PTs, and that includes both clinical and non-clinical jobs. So I want to start by saying that this is normal, and it's not necessarily a bad thing if you find yourself constantly thinking about your patients and what you maybe could have done differently. It just means you're a good therapist. It means that you care. This is empathy, and it's a very common superpower amongst all PTs and OTs. It just means that you simply want the best for your patients. But the problem comes when this empathy kind of takes over and consumes all of your time outside of work. And this is a hard truth, but we have to face it. Empathy is simply a tool that we use in the clinic, but it's not an infinite resource, right? This is especially true for newer clinicians. So you've just come out of school where every patient, every practical, every clinical was this high stakes situation. And if you didn't do your best, you risked failure. And that has then taught you to feel 100% responsible for the outcome of every patient on your caseload. You feel that if you don't give everything to your patients, you're going to fail them. But there's a big difference between caring for your patients and carrying your patients. So when you take on all the responsibility for your patients, you take them home with you. By taking them home, you're not really helping them progress. You're just pushing yourself more towards burnout. And if you find yourself doing this with every single patient, every day of every week, you're going to burn out because this never stops. You never give yourself a chance to turn it off. This leads to exhaustion, and that is one of the 3 pillars of burnout. And when you're burned out, you lose motivation, you lose desire, and you lose the drive to help any patient. So, how do you stop this mental replay? How do you stop carrying your patients home with you every day? So, you can't just tell your brain to stop thinking about it. Everybody knows that that doesn't work. But what does work is giving your brain a system to transition. Okay. So, here are 2 tangible strategies that you can try tomorrow to build a boundary between therapist you and regular life you. So the first strategy to try is the end of the day brain dump. Okay. So when your brain keeps replaying the events of the day and continues to bring up each patient you saw that day, that's called the Zeigarnik effect. So our brains do not like unfinished business. So if you leave the clinic with all these open-ended questions running through your brain, like what else should I try with Mr. Smith? Or how else can I educate his wife to help him with transfers? Your brain keeps looping those thoughts, like it's leaving that tab open in the background. It's continuously running because it doesn't want you to forget it. Your brain is really, really scared of forgetting something. And so when it's always running, it's always looping, it's going to drain your battery. Your brain's job is always to protect you from scary things. So if it is scared that you're going to forget something, it's going to keep replaying in your brain, and that's going to lead to exhaustion. So you have to tell your brain that the information is safe and then it can let it go, right? You don't need that reminder anymore. So to do this, you need to do a brain dump. So before you leave the clinic, give yourself 2 minutes to jot down on a piece of paper or open up the notes app in your phone and jot down the 3 T's: tasks, treatments, and trash. Okay, tasks are any administrative loose end that you need to wrap up. Treatments or any treatment ideas that are coming to you immediately. This can also be done and probably should be done in the plan of your daily note for each patient. This is what I do. At the end of each patient, I'll put pretty much specifically what I want to do the next session in my plan. The third T is trash. So any emotional junk that you feel from the day, sad moments, stressful moments, fun moments, jot down how it made you feel, sit with that for 2 minutes, and then let it go. So with this brain dump, your brain understands that once it's on paper, the loop is now closed because there's already a plan in place. Okay. So it's almost like saying everything that I need for tomorrow is written here, and I can now close this tab and I can leave for work. So the next step, or I'm sorry, and I can leave it at work, right? So the next step is to leave it at work and don't look at it again until the next morning. So write that on a piece of paper before you leave work and you leave it there, or open, put it in your notes app on your phone. Don't open that app again till the morning. Understand that this is not abandoning your patients or letting them down. It's just simply pausing that program for the day, pausing it for today until tomorrow. Now, it's okay if there are times when you literally need to look something up later that evening, but put a timer to this. Keep this about 10 minutes. Literally set a timer if you have to. But the same final step applies. Saying everything that I need for tomorrow is written here, and I can now close these tabs. And don't look at those notes again until the very next day. It is very important that you put a firm stop because it can be very easy to keep coming back to ideas and thoughts. But when you tell your brain, everything's ready for tomorrow, I can close all these tabs, it now knows that it's safe and nothing is going to be forgotten. This will let your brain know that it doesn't have to keep replaying the day's events as reminders to you. Okay. The next strategy is to use a boundary ritual. So your brain also needs a physical cue that the shift from work to rest has occurred. So this can be any type of physical task. So changing your clothes as soon as you get home, listening to a specific playlist on the way home, taking a 5-minute walk as soon as you get home, applying a specific lotion on your hands once you get in the car. Okay. So it's basically any physical task that you do every day after work to tell your brain, I'm done with work. Now it's okay to relax. So this works because your brain is designed to recognize patterns. So when you spend 8 hours a day, sometimes more, in a high stress environment, in a hyper vigilant state, you're in this fight or flight mode for that entire time. Your sympathetic nervous system is working really, really hard. When you clock out and you leave work for the day, your brain doesn't automatically come off of fight or flight. So it needs a cue to switch over and let the parasympathetic nervous system take over so you can now rest. Basically, your brain doesn't know the difference between the stress of the clinic and the safety of home unless it's given a physical cue. And this physical cue, whatever you decide it to be, gives your brain that cue to switch from fight or flight to rest and digest. So let me give you some examples. So one thing you can do is change your clothes as soon as you get home. And if you work in like an inpatient setting, this is probably natural physical cue anyway, right? So as soon as you walk in the door, every time you get home from work, you go straight to your bedroom and you change your clothes. This has to be step one. Don't start cooking dinner. Don't sit on the couch and scroll through social media. Don't turn on your favorite show until you've changed your clothes first. After you change your clothes, you can do all those things. But step one, you open the door, you go to your room, and you change your clothes. This is the physical cue that your brain will start to recognize to make that shift from fight to relax. Think of it as literally kind of shedding the therapist at the door and becoming at you home. Okay. Another thing you can try is listening to a very specific playlist on the way home. This does not include PT related podcasts or self help audiobooks. It's carefree music that you enjoy singing along to. Enter your favorite Taylor Swift album or your Noah Kahan album, but it's the same playlist every day on your way home from work. Your brain will start to recognize that when it hears this playlist, it's now safe and it can now switch over from stress to relaxation. Another example is to apply a specific type of lotion to your hands as soon as you get into your car. And it has to be the same specific scent every time. And you can only use this specific scent in your car when you're leaving work. Your brain will recognize this smell, giving it the all clear to recognize that we're safe, that you're now leaving that high stress environment, and it's okay to transition to a calm and relaxed state. Now, the key here is to pick only one of those physical tasks. You do it every day. You only do it after you're leaving work, and do it for 2 weeks. This will help your brain to start to recognize that transition. Then, as you continue to perform this physical task after leaving work every day, your brain now knows when it senses that physical cue, it's now safe. When it gets that physical cue, it can leave the fight or flight state and it can now transition to the rest and digest state. Okay, so these are 2 strategies that you can start to implement tomorrow to help you leave work at work, right? Emotional load is a real challenge for a PT or an OT who is built around empathy. Remember, empathy isn't really a bad thing, and thinking about your patients when you're at home isn't inherently a bad thing. It means that you care deeply, but you can't care so deeply that about your patients that it consumes your life outside of work. Okay. As I said earlier, caring for your patients is very different from carrying your patients. You can be great at your job and you can provide all the empathy you want while you're at work. But as soon as you clock out, it's time to switch that empathy over to yourself. Because if you spend all of your energy offering empathy to your patients at work and while you're at home, you will get exhausted very quickly. Remember, the 3 components of burnout are exhaustion, cynicism, and reduced self-efficacy. So if you are exhausted from constantly thinking about your patients and what you could have done differently or what else you could do better for your patients, the end result is going to be burnout. And this will be a very fast track to burnout if you do this all day, every day. So go ahead and give these strategies a try. If you're looking for more support, if you'd like to dive deeper into these things, into these topics, and how it can specifically help you, then go ahead and reach out. I'd love to help you. You didn't choose this job just to burn out in 2 years. You chose this job to help people. You deserve to love your job and enjoy doing your job. Okay? That's why I'm here, to help you build or rebuild your career so you can love your job without burning out in the process. Hope you learned something new today. Please go ahead and drop in the comments your aha moment or something that really stood out for you, something new that you learned. And I thank you for watching. If you have any questions about what I talked about today, please feel free to message me or leave your questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.